What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel for episode 15 of the Handheld Gaming News here. We actually have quite a few things to go over. This week, though, has really been all about the official announcements out of Gamescom for Xbox's Ally and Ally X devices. So we'll get into that a little bit. And we also have a couple other things to go over when it comes to the PC handhelds, plus some Switch 2 news and the recap of the big news we got for GeForce NOW with the 5080 Super Pods, among other things there. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, like I said, this week, what's been really dominating the news has been the ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X devices, and they went over a lot of things at Gamescom, and there was a lot of hands-on, and people got to try them out and all of that. We got the official release date of October 16th, which is nice to see, but they didn't officially give us a pre-order date, even though everybody thought that was going to be on August 20th, and we also didn't get an official price, even though everyone has basically confirmed like $549 for the white device and $899 for the black, which would fall right in line with what we've all been kind of saying and talking about for these devices. There's been some videos showing off how easy it is to swap back and forth from the desktop mode and the Xbox full screen experience, among other things that have been popping up showing how things are integrated more into the new UI. There was a bunch of information that came out about their verification system and how that's going to work, and badging for 30 FPS, 60 FPS, and whether games run at all or how well they run and that type of thing. So that was really cool to see there. We've also got shader compilation that's coming to the PC games here for the Xbox app, and when those download, it automatically compiles shaders for those games. So that's going to be a nice feature to see here as well, especially when it comes to a lot of the compilation stutter and things like that that we can run into with shaders. There's also some work they're doing that's going to be coming along down the road when it comes to the docking experience and just overall trying to make this better for bigger screens and TVs and that type of thing, and using kind of an auto super resolution and upscaling and AI for the NPU cores in this device and that type of thing. So that was kind of interesting for them to actually see and announce as well. And I would definitely welcome a better docking experience when it comes to these handhelds. So I've never been a big fan of how they really act on the 4K TV and that type of thing, not just due to the performance or power, but just overall, it's never the best experience. So that would be nice to see something there. So I'll be keeping an eye out for pre-orders, see when they pop up and official pricing, even though we're pretty sure on that $899 USD, but we'll see what happens there. For whatever reason, they held off on the pre-orders and the pricing when it came to Gamescom, even though rumors stated kind of showing that they were going to have that info there. But other than that, though, yeah, we did get a lot of more information for the device. I do wish it wasn't the original 7-inch smaller screen panel that's on the existing Ally X and Ally. For me personally, I do like the little bit larger screens, but ultimately I really am interested in checking out the operating system experience here. It's going to be coming to other devices later, but it will only be on this one for now. So yeah, definitely excited to get this here and check it out in a couple of months when it comes out on October 16th. Now, we didn't get any Lenovo Legion Go 2 news, which is disappointing. I know some of you may have been expecting some Gamescom stuff, but they've got an event happening on September 5th at IFA 2025 coming up. So that's probably when we're actually going to see this and get what I'm expecting to be pretty much all of the information, from specs to how this thing's going to look to actual pricing and all of that, and availability, pre-orders. I think they're going to pretty much just come out with all the information for this thing. So even though we didn't really get any news yet, I just am going to say that pretty much everyone's watching for September 5th when it comes to the next information for Legion Go 2. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for it, definitely report on it. And of course, this is one of those devices I'm going to try to pre-order and get here so we can review and test it in the long term, at least for a couple of years, just like I do the original Legion Go. So that'll be fun to get into and compare those. But I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for this pre-order, and we'll keep an eye out for this event coming here in the first week of September. All right, so this isn't a handheld, but it does go along with kind of the SteamOS thing and Valve, and I thought this was interesting. The Valve Freemont appears on Geekbench, 6-core AMD custom APU with Radeon RX 7600 level graphics, and we've talked a lot about the Valve Freemont project and what SteamOS has brought to the handhelds and what Valve might try to do when it comes to an easier to use home console experience that you can hook up to your TV. So with the success of SteamOS and all that kind of stuff going on, it wouldn't be a big surprise for them to kind of maybe launch something to more easily set up with your TV, your monitor, or whatever the case. And yeah, I would definitely want to check it out here. If this thing comes out, I'll definitely want to get a hold of it and check it out and see how it goes. It could be a very interesting box depending on how they do it. But yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out on this project and see, if they announce something official, and if it ever actually does become something we can get our hands on. All right, so last week we talked about the GPD Win 5 a little bit, and it's a very interesting handheld, but as far as the features, the price, the external battery, and that type of thing, even though it is very impressive and it's kind of a eye into the future of what could be possible with handhelds, I just think for the price and the way this is going to work, it might not, be one of the biggest selling things, but I do think it's pretty cool. And we got some more confirmation. This is actually coming October 17th, so a day after those Xbox ROG Ally devices. And it does look like we're going to be running at around 1400 for a 32 gigabyte model, and for a 64 gigabyte model, 1670 USD. So rumors were stating $1,500 to $2,000, and it looks like with tax and depending on your configuration and all of that, you very well could get to that $1,500 minimal easily, and all the way up to $1,800 to $2,000. So very expensive handheld, not one I'm going to be able to grab up and check out here, especially with having to buy the Legion Go 2 and the Xbox Ally X to test here. But yeah, just wanted to talk about this again. It's showing up again in the news, and we have official release date and a little bit more about what that pricing is looking like. All right, a little bit of Nintendo Switch news here. Only a couple of items, really. There's been a few things. There's been some mumblings about Elden Ring and its performance being hit or miss. Fine dock, not so great handheld. And that wouldn't necessarily be a big surprise, seeing how that game runs. And it has been a struggle on some of the handhelds and stuff as well. But I'm sure there's a lot that they're working on there to try to make it as good as they can. I'm not sure if that's one of the games I'll be picking up on the Switch too. I've already played through Elden Ring a good bit, a couple of times on PC and on Xbox. Another thing is, though, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is going to launch on the Switch 2 in 2026. I do plan on grabbing this up. I'm looking forward to the DLC, and I actually just recently finished my full playthrough on Xbox of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So that's actually another one I would just grab up. I think I beat my first playthrough in like 14 hours or something like that, or 15 hours. I kind of went through it somewhat quickly, but yeah, I'm looking forward to grabbing this up and checking out performance on the Switch 2, because this one has been very difficult on handhelds to run certain levels. Even keeping 30 FPS on some of the PC handhelds has been rough. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to checking out this title on the Switch 2. We also had a Nintendo Direct just for Kirby Air Riders, and I'm not the biggest fan of that franchise in particular, but it looked pretty decent. I will say it was a very long Nintendo Direct completely dedicated to this game. So if you are a fan of Kirby Air Riders, there was a lot there for you to get into, and the game's going to be coming out November 20th. It's definitely one I'll pick up, play with my son, my wife. We'll play it as a family. That's kind of why I have the Switch stuff here is, it's great for a lot of the family time and the games that we all get to play together in the living room. But yeah, it's definitely one I'll pick up, but it was kind of a long Direct for me for just this game. And I'm more looking forward to Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. All right, and that brings us to GeForce Now news for this week. And we have 13 games joining GFN, so we'll go over those here in just a minute. And we also had some big announcements. If you saw my dedicated video, GeForce Now is getting 5080 Super Pods along with some other stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit, and then I'll list out the games. So GeForce Now is getting the RTX 5080 Super Pods. This will be somewhat limited to certain games at first, but it is going to bring DLSS 4 multi-frame generation and streaming up to 5K 120 FPS. And at 1080p, they're bumping up to 360 FPS. And at 1440p, support up to 240 FPS, all of this on the Ultra tier. So these are some nice things getting added on. They've also got Install to Play coming, which is pretty much opted in games on Steam for GeForce Now that haven't been added yet. Some 2,200 games or more that will instantly be available for you to install and play. That's still installing on storage on the cloud, not on your local device. You get 100 gigabytes of storage per session to do that. It's very fast downloads. If you want persistent storage for about $3 a month, you can add a couple of 100 gigabytes to that as well. GeForce Now has a ton of great games still coming up this year for the fall, with games like Borderlands 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and a bunch of other ones on the way. And something else I'm really looking forward to checking out is the new cinematic quality streaming mode that's going to be coming with this tier and with the 5080s, and I believe on the 4080 as well. I believe it's just pretty much on the ultimate tier across the board, but this is really going to help to clear up some of those muddy textures and images, especially in the distance, kind of like you can see here on the screen. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to check that out. We can also go all the way up to 100 megabits per second now on our bit rate. They're expanding support for hardware, so certain Logitech steering wheels are going to be supported on GeForce Now. It's going to be great for some of the racing stuff. More support for LG TVs with 4K 120Hz streaming and HDR. and a 90 FPS support for Steam Deck for that 90 hertz OLED model. So that's something I'm looking forward to checking out too. Definitely want to see how that 90 hertz works and that 90 FPS works. It should make for some super smooth gameplay streaming on GFN to the Steam Deck. There's also a pretty cool partnership with NVIDIA Discord and Epic, bringing Fortnite as the first game playable directly in Discord. So this has a lot of potential in the future, where with GeForce Now and Discord and these kind of partnerships, you just bring games right to that platform where you can just click, play, and get in. So this will be an interesting one to watch, check out, and try and see what they do with it in the future. All right, so as far as the 13 titles we got added for this week, we'll go ahead and list those out here. We've got Stick It to the Stick Man, which is a new release on Steam for August 18th. Blacksmith Master, a new release on Xbox, available on PC Game Pass for August 19th. Void Breaker, a new release on Steam and Xbox's PC Game Pass, August 19th. The Rogue Prince of Persia for Ubisoft, August 20th, a new release. Then we have Funko Fusion on Steam. And then after that, we have a bunch of Total War games for that series coming from Sega, and they're all on Steam. So Total War Medieval 2, Total War Atlia, Troy, Napoleon, Empire, Rome Remastered, Shogun 2, all of them listed here for you. So a bunch of those Total War series games coming over from Sega. So a big drop there for that one onto GeForce Now. But yeah, that's everything for GFN for this week. 13 titles on the service and a bunch of great news coming out of Gamescom when it comes to the 5080 SuperPod, cinematic streaming quality, more support for more devices and all that. So definitely some stuff I'm looking forward to getting into and testing out on some different devices, especially the PC handhelds here with GeForce Now. But yeah, that'll wrap us up for this week. Of course, a ton of information coming out for the Xbox Ally devices, but still need the pre-order date and the official price, even though we are pretty sure where those are winding up and where rumors are stating that price is going to be. I think we're going to see that Lenovo Legion Go 2 announcement coming up soon. Keep an eye out for September 5th if something doesn't drop sooner for whatever reason. I'm definitely keeping an eye out on that Valve console. I just think that would be an interesting concept for home. Let me know what you guys think about that GPD Win 5. I think it's a really neat idea, but it's expensive and niche, and I think that kind of performance and everything will come in time on these devices. And I've always said kind of 2027, watch what starts to happen, and we'll see some things with the performance and what's available here. But yeah, interesting concept. A couple of things for Switch, and of course all the stuff for GeForce Now. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video as always. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.